when we talk about, and you think about the older we get, the more we seem to lose our courage, our imagination, and our curiosity. We start to second guess ourselves. We sometimes fall in the trap of letting others influence our opinions, letting others' opinions influence us. And then we stop imagining the unknown, like what's out there in the world. How does this work? What does this do? And we start to settle for what's around us. But then there's a few of us that are just hard-headed. Like we have to know how to do it, why it works, break it apart and put it together and figure it out. And there's a few of us that wonder and dream and seek out the answers to our curiosity with a childlike essence. And my guest today has heard several questions about the local music. He's heard complaints and problems about the local landscape and culture of local music. And instead of crying and boo-hooing and woo-woo all on Facebook and social media, he's turned his curiosity into a podcast. After his 9-to-5 and raising a family, living on his own life, he's dedicated a portion of his time and his family's time to explore local music, unbiased, ignoring the stereotypes and negativity, dedicating a portion of his time to create a space to be curious and ask questions and discover the uprising happening in Huntsville, Alabama. Ladies and gentlemen, from the podcast Uprising, please welcome Bill Fowler. How's it going, bro?
That was a heck of an intro. That was real good.
It's all true.
I was like, who's he talking about? Whoever's coming in the door, man, is going to be really amazing.
Well, it is. You make it easy, and I tell everyone this all the time, that if it weren't for what you're doing, if it weren't for what people are doing, being brave, thinking out loud, I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't have anything to sit here and talk to people about. So you guys make it easy.
Well, you know what bravery looks like because you're doing it yourself.
Absolutely. Somebody's got to do it. And you guys, we got rehearsals going on. We got Word Express rehearsing right now. By the time you guys see this episode, you will have been to the August 17th block party. So it's always something going on.
Oh, and it sounds good. What they're doing sounds real good.
Absolutely. So let's talk about one thing we've always talked about, you and I, is how music brings people together.
Yeah.
You know, I think music is one of those things that has done a lot more for race relations and connecting people and bridging the gap than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
So when you think about music connecting people and bringing people together, what are your thoughts on that, and why do you think that is?
Well, it's, I'm going to say a lot of things that have been said before. It's like it's universal language. Like I grew up, when I was a kid, I wanted to be Michael Jackson. I mean, I trained.
Did you moonwalk?
Dude, I trained moonwalking. I bought shoes so I could moonwalk. When you're a little kid and you don't want to buy church shoes,
Yeah.
I wanted those church shoes. Because you can't.
You gotta have shoes.
Your Jordans wouldn't moonwalk. You'd break your ankles,
No,
so you had to go and do that. Man, I wanted to be Michael Jackson when I was a kid. And so the first thing you learn, the first thing that breaks down racism in your life is music. And you got to relearn that, from outside influences that maybe, and we're seeing a lot right now, is that racism is a thing, but music is one of the greatest things to battle that. And that starts at a really early age. Started with me that way. Stevie
Absolutely.
Wonder, the Commodores, Earth, Wind and Fire, Michael Jackson especially. That's what got me started in music.
Your Apple and Tidal and Spotify playlist is jamming, I know.
Yeah, no, it's real good. I'm all over the place. But yeah, that's where it started. I think we all started that way. And it's at some point, you listen to a song and it's like, are they black or white?
Yeah.
You ask that question, and then man, he sounds like a white guy, or man, he sounds like a black girl, or whatever. And it's like, that's a testament to music being the universal language. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. I had no idea until I started working at James Records and Tapes.
Yeah.
And it used to be off of North Parkway, and it's torn down now.
Yeah.
Where all that dirt is. And it used to be at the corner of Max Luther and the Parkway, North Parkway, right over here. I had no idea the guy singing the song, What You Won't Do for Love. I had no idea that was a white cat. I was going through the records, and I'm cleaning out records and I'm playing songs and so on and so forth. And me and this guy, we had a computer and we were looking for that song.
Right.
So we found the song and I saw the name, and it was like a Google machine. It was like this old machine that would tell you what you would type in the name and it would tell you the artist and so forth. So the name comes back and I'm like, okay, I've seen that name somewhere.
Yeah.
So I go back through the records. These are records, people. These are, records,
Yeah,
vinyl.
yeah.
So I go to the C's and I'm like, okay, Caldwell. I know I've seen that name somewhere. Then I pull out this record and it's Bobby Caldwell. I'm like, what? He is invited to the barbecue because I thought forever that song was this cool Southern brother with an Impala or a Cadillac. I just knew it was a black dude. And I was like, yo, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so you just, like you said, you have no idea that how music is connecting people.
Right.
And that's important. All right. Now, another thing that you've mentioned and another thing that you've talked about is the people behind the music. When we go to a show and we see artists on the stage performing, we have no idea that there's a guy back there. Hopefully there's a guy back there that's running the sound.
Yeah.
Making sure that there's no frequency delays and feedback and whatnot that's going to blow everybody's eardrums.
Right.
There's usually a guy in the background that's, helping hook up cables or, that may have produced the track or whatever. All these different people behind the scenes when it comes to performing, making music, playing in a band, so on and so forth. And we sometimes, and I think we as even adults and children, we start to want to be on the stage and in front and be out in front and center and have no idea of the people that make this happen behind the scenes.
That's right.
And they usually make the most money,
right?
But versus the person that's in front,
right?
If you ever look at a film, look at the credits at the end of a film.
Lots of folks.
There's more people that worked on it than the 10 people in the cast that were there. Right. And so they're just as important, sometimes if not more, than the people that are in front.
Yeah.
So talk about a little bit your thoughts of the people behind the scenes, the booking agents, the musicians, the tour managers, just people that are all behind the scenes that people have no idea are making things happen.
Well, a music scene, I think, is a culture of people all working together. And like you said, I think it takes a family of people, a real deep family of people, to create a successful artist. You mentioned, I know you've got a family, and to do what you do, there are people that are missing you right now, because you're doing what you love to do. And those people make sacrifices, and I think it's important that we acknowledge that. And in a place like Huntsville, you got the venues, you've got the artist kind of communities with Low Mill. You got this place that we're sitting in right now. There are a lot of people that work behind the scenes to make sure that when we go see a show, that it's successful. Now in Huntsville, I think all those layers, the vertical, where you start with the people who are actually artists, but there's a deep kind of, a cone of humanity that's got to be promoting that person. And that takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of interest. And Huntsville is just really getting started with I'm going to say this, a viable music scene. And there are going to be a lot of people out there that are saying, hey, Huntsville's had a viable music scene for years. That's true. But it's just now getting the attention that it needs outside of these small little silos, you know?
We've always known that. But now, and people across the world have to. It's one of those things where we're not the only ones having that conversation. However, it could be talked about a lot more.
I'll tell you the differences in where we graduate from is that the music in a small community or that may have an immature music scene is centered on one venue. So I'm going to go here and see a band, and then next weekend I'm going to go there and see a different band instead of going to see a single band in multiple places. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, listen, I love, whatever I love. We like, home cooking. We got grandma food, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can go to the same place over and over and get the same meal over and over again. That's what an immature music scene does, is it goes to one venue to see a series of bands. But if you're a serious music, culture, then you're going to have several different places to go pick up the same kind of product. So you're going to go see your favorite acts play in several different venues. And then suddenly you've got hundreds of people working behind the scenes to do that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's an important part of what we do, are the people that work all around this town. Unsung heroes. Most of them don't get paid. Most of them just go and do it because they love to do it.
Absolutely. And again, it's important that we have these conversations, that we talk to each other about how to improve, where can we improve? What needs to be done? And then for those of us that hear that call and then answer that call with action instead of we're still talking about it 6 months down the road and nothing's been done about it. And then because someone hasn't figured out how to make a buck out of it yet,
Right.
they still haven't done it. Instead of someone making the sacrifice and doing the work to say, okay, I'm going to get this done.
Yeah.
I'll worry about the money later.
Sure.
Or how I'm going to make it happen. And those are usually the things where people don't wait for permission to, music festivals.
Right.
They don't wait on permission to do a music festival. They do Spice Fest.
Sure.
Or they do Invisible Fest.
Right.
Or they do Tangle Strings Fest.
Right.
Or they do Women in Music.
Yeah.
So there's this Huntsville is starting to get this vibe going on where people are really making it happen.
I tell you what, if you spend your time at a spreadsheet and your main concern is how am I going to make money out of this, then get out of my face. We ain't a music business yet. We're a music culture, and this is an art form. And talk to any artist. They're not in it for the money.
Yeah.
And so when you and I talk about putting a show on together, we go to Spice Fest and we see each other. There's a bunch of people around there that are really enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah.
They didn't start that process thinking, "Hey, I need a boat payment."
Yeah.
This was, I want to make something really cool happen.
Absolutely.
And then the money will follow. Here's the thing. You gave me some great advice last time we talked was, I was like, I want to grow my audience. I want to do better. I want to get better at what I do. Mm-hmm. And you said you're putting out a great product. Keep putting out a great product and the success will find you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is something I've heard many times in many different ways, but it meant something coming from you because we're doing very similar things. So.
And again, today you just reminded me of, again, sometimes we always want what we don't have.
Yeah.
Instead of using what we've got. And you got to think about when, coming up, you've played in bands, you're a musician, of how that feels when you're, you got the worst equipment in the world,
right? And
you're playing in the worst looking venue, but you have a good time because you're not really thinking about all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But then the older you get, the more experienced you get, you start to really you may fall into that trap where you're starting to worry about, this isn't a such and such guitar.
Sure, right.
It's a guitar.
Yeah.
It plays just like anything else.
Right.
Now, sure, it's got bells and whistles that another one may not have, or
dude,
whatever.
You're touching a nerve right here. I'm sitting on 7 guitars right now. Okay, I got a problem. All right, you're really touching a nerve. I mean, don't speak too much about that because I don't want to have to sell any of my guitars. Yeah. All right, use a different example.
Yeah. So we'll do another example. But another good thing is when you said about going when venues are. People are going to the same venues, or venues are playing the same music.
Yeah.
What I think is great, and there's a good problem that we have here in Huntsville, there is always so many shows happening in one day where you literally can't pick which one to go to because there's 3 ones that you want to go to, but they all happen at the same time.
Yeah.
To whereas it used to be there were only 2 or 3 different venues that were playing music, and that's the only one that you liked because they only played the music that you liked.
Yeah.
And this one was so now it's a lot more variety, you know, to where you've got acts playing 3 or 4 times in a night and you don't know where you want to go.
No, it's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
It's a great problem to have, but it's something that I'm going to say something controversial, and this is like a testament to you and I sitting here together talking about this. I think our biggest, I'm not going to say problem. I think
opportunity.
A great opportunity is that we still have silos of entertainment. We have silos of culture and art. And there are things that happen in North Huntsville that South Huntsville want to know about. Mm-hmm. Because the assumption is, well, they're not coming up here.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Things going on down there that no one up here is going to attend because, well, they've got their thing, we got our thing. I've got 2 real good friends who are historians, who are PhDs in history. And our little thesis, and all I do is drink beer and talk about this stuff. I think Reconstruction's ongoing. I think the South is still suffering the same things that we suffered from. The Civil Rights Movement did a lot. I mean, that did a lot, but you can get on Twitter right now and tell me we've come anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I think this town, especially Huntsville, and I'm not going to try to pump us up as some ideological, whatever, that we can solve all the nation's racial problems, but Huntsville has always been a melting pot of people, culture. Yeah. And there are folks from all over the country that live here and have moved here for that reason.
Yes.
And we have an opportunity, and I think specifically me and you and the people who we run with, we have an opportunity to create more musical, I'm going to say music because that's where my hat, rests.
Right.
I'm going to say that we have opportunities to create places for us to coexist. Because, you can put on your show, awesome.
Yeah.
And all of North Huntsville comes to your show and everybody's cool. And I can do the same thing down where I am and everybody's going to come in and they're going to be cool. Yeah. What have we accomplished, really? You know,
right.
I mean, we've done something good for us. We've done something good for the artists that we know. But if we can cross the racial lines, man, that's something that Austin has figured out. New Orleans has figured that out. I mean, go to Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
The reason why those costumes are so cool is because no one can tell who you are. You know, what are you? Where are you from?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're from. And we're getting there. We're gonna get there. I think music is one of the ways to do that. Now, I mean, I know that sounds like,
well, no, you're right, because it's one of the only things that ever has done that, you know, and continues to do that.
yeah,
But what happens is there's people that are, again, brave enough or curious enough to go, I've never been to this rock show. I've never been to this punk rock show or
Right.
whatever, but my friend invited me.
yeah,
So I'm going to go.
yeah,
No matter what. As long as we make it out alive, we're fine. Or
Right.
they go to a music festival or they're at a show and there's a name that comes up on the bill or the flyer. I know Bill is a little different. Well, that's his name too.
Yeah.
But I know that's a little different. But they see a name on the flyer that they don't recognize, and maybe they stick around.
Yeah.
And they say, let me hear what let me hear what they got. Let me
Yeah.
hear what they're what they sound like, and give them a chance. I think people like that start to again make those start bridging that gap, and they
Yeah.
start bringing people together because they're naturally curious, and it's not one of those things where it's, I don't know who this person is, I'm not going to listen to it, or
Sure.
I'm not familiar with this music, you know,
Right.
let me go somewhere else.
Right.
But then you've got, again, concerts on the dock or the Block Festival or all these different venues in music places where you have hip hop in a space where you have rock and you have metal and you have EDM and you have, there's so much melting pot and for lack of a better thing, gumbo.
Yeah,
This gumbo
sure.
of music
Yeah.
to where people are curious and discovering music that they normally wouldn't listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate seeing people in spaces that I normally wouldn't see them at.
Now, you know what's cool? So
You
Concert
know?
on the Dock is a great example of that because people show up with their cooler and their kids
Yeah.
and their strollers. They don't care who's playing.
Yeah.
It's the environment they're going to see. It's cool. And concerts in the park
Yeah.
that the Museum of Art puts on along with the city. And other people do that too. I'm probably missing folks. But concerts in the park is really cool.
Yeah.
And I live just right down the street from the park. And so
Yeah.
on a Monday night, don't go that way because there's 6,000 people in the park.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who's playing, man. And that's the cool thing. It's just like they just go to enjoy themselves. Black, white, all kinds of shades.
And they don't care.
They don't
They're
care.
just there to listen to music.
Mhm.
And if it happens to be a song or they don't like who's playing, then once they hear it and make that decision, then
Yeah.
they walk off and do whatever.
Sure.
But they at least give it a chance.
Hey, I'm in the
versus-
park.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
if the music's not exactly what I want, I'm still
Yeah.
in the park. I got a bottle of wine or whatever, and I'm hanging out having a good time.
having a good time.
Yeah.
And that's what it's more so about. You mentioned something earlier. We were in the pre-interview about why knowing musicians matters more than the art itself.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredible. Explain that a little bit. Break that down in a little bit.
Man, well, when I said that, I'm just thinking about the people that I've talked to. So, I do an interview show and I speak to musicians here in town. And the people that I've talked to, I have very little exposure to. I mean, I intentionally don't do a ton of research. I mean, I listen to their music on Spotify or whatever. If they send me something, I'll listen to it. I don't want to know anything about them because
Yeah.
I'm finding out about them as the audience is finding out about them. And I'm asking the kind of questions I would ask if I were meeting them for the first time. And I will, in my mind, think, well, this is going to be a 20-minute conversation. And it turns into an hour-long conversation because
Yep.
these people have such amazing stories. And everybody that I'll talk to, I mean, this is Huntsville, Alabama, local music stuff. I mean, it's not like we're talking to, Grammy Award-winning folks just yet.
Yeah.
And they all have jobs. They all struggle. They all try to figure out a way to balance their lives and try to find time to write, try to find a place to rehearse, try to afford the equipment it takes to kind of do this thing.
Yeah.
And that is an amazing thing to know, so that and this is to answer your question. If you're sitting at a restaurant or you're sitting at a venue and maybe somebody's playing in the corner and you have no idea who it is, but something kind of, you've done this.
Yeah.
You're like, man, they're good.
Yeah.
They're real good. If you know that person loads trucks,
Mhm.
or if you know that person has 3 little kids at home, or if you know that person is a cancer survivor, or whatever the case may be. And they're not all bad stories, but if you know that what that person's story is, man,
everyone has a story. You're
gonna listen. You're gonna respect them for being there. Probably gonna walk up and give them a tip or say hello or something.
Yeah,
that matters. So I got a 13-year-old daughter. Okay, Billie Eilish. Yeah. I mean, she's like. She's Madonna and Britney Spears and all wrapped into one right now. So whatever 13-year-old girls are listening to, that dominates pop culture. Okay, so this girl Billie Eilish is 17 years old and has an Instagram account, and she's got all kinds of social media interaction. Well, my daughter soaks that up. I mean, Billie Eilish changes her hair color. It makes the news, and she loves her. She loved her before she knew her, but she loves her more now that she knows her. And that's an important thing. And I think a lot of people who love music are like, I like that song. End of story. But people like me, I love stories. You love stories. I want to know where they came from, you know?
Well, I want to get into a good story once we get back from this song. I want to play a song and listen to some music a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I want you to think about, one of your first music experiences, one of your first, because I like hearing about old venues or venues that may still be here.
Yeah.
But just one of those venues where it's just special to you, just a good memory, You
got it.
And we'll come back and we'll, again, if you guys are watching and you have one of those stories of your favorite local music shows that you went to, or maybe it may be recent, it may have just happened yesterday, whatever it is, talk about that. And I want us to get into that a little bit.
All right.
And we're going to hear a little bit of music from Deacon Sue. Deacon Sue just dropped one of her new songs. It's called Bloody Monster, and she dropped it Friday. And there's a story behind that song, and I'll let her tell you guys about it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you guys homework. I'm not even gonna tell you what the story is behind it. You go find the story behind this song, because it is incredible. The reason why she wrote this song, and a reason why she wrote it almost immediately after it happened to her. Wow. And when you hear the lyrics, and if you've ever watched Orange Is the New Black, it was luckily added to that show. So her, Deacon Sue, Kelvin Wooten, Huntsville, natives, hometown. I don't want to say natives because I don't know if they're from Huntsville, but I know they're here.
Yeah.
I know I see them out and about.
That's cool.
And again, just great people. So Deacon Sue, not things change. That's King Kofi. Deacon Sue, Bloody Monster. Go Google the story behind it. And we'll be back.
Oh, what a joke. You played on me. You were so nice initially. Then, like a scene out of my dreams, you became a nightmare that haunted me. You bloody monster, pathetic you are. You're trying so hard to get on my nerve, but I won't let you. Although it's so hard, I've got so many words. Just wait till second verse. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, you're a crazy bitch. I don't even like that word for you. I think it fits. You're crazy, and you know it. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, you're a crazy bitch. I don't even like that word for you. I think it fits. You're psycho, and I know it. I'm kinda pissed, got stuck on you. Thought you should know I think you're true. Wish I was wrong, but no taming you. 6 little letters gave me the clue. You call me nigger, that's not nice. Thought you were smarter, I paid the price. Guess I was wrong, it's like I am. So here's the rope, let's play it man. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, you're a crazy bitch. You're crazy, even like that word for you. I think it fits. And you know it. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, you're a crazy bitch. I don't even like that word for you. I think it fits. You're a psycho, and I know I really thought the best of you. You play me like a fool. Shame on you. Fool me once, shame
ladies and gentlemen. We are back here in tune with T-Mill and my guest, Bill Fowler. The look on his face tells you the music we just listened to.
That was really cool. That was
Deacon
real
Sue
cool.
with Bloody Monster. I want you guys to go out on whatever your music platform is, iTunes. It just came out last Friday, so you guys make sure you go check it out. And that's DEQNSUE. That's DEQNSUE. Check her out wherever your favorite social media is to check out that song. Also featured on the Orange is the New Black TV show, which just had the last season. I don't know if
that was really cool. Yeah.
So what'd you think of that, man?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And you said it while we were listening to that song.
Yeah,
she's
so I
all
told
over the
Bill the
stage.
story. Y'all gotta Google it, but I told Bill the story.
But she's all over the
where that
stage. Like
song
you said,
came
she's
from.
a performer.
She is a performer. She is not standing in one place or sitting down. And again, whatever your style is fine. But man, she is dancing all over the stage.
But you can hear
having a
that
good
in the
time.
music. You can see how fun that would be
She's
to play
got that
live.
same energy. It's a fun show.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys check it out wherever you see. Speaking about shows, and we're talking about Huntsville music, some of the venues that have come and gone.
Yeah.
What is one of your favorite memories, of local music, or just a show that came here to Huntsville?
Well, it's at the VBC back when it was the Von Braun Civic Center, and it was, I don't know the year, and it's probably 1986, 87. So I was a young kid. I was probably 13 at the time, 13 or 14. And this would be when I was not allowed to go to or very early when I was allowed to go to concerts by myself, not by myself, but with friends. And there was a band back then called Motley Crue, which is a kind of an infamous rock band now. And they represented, when you're a 13-year-old kid, you're just angry about stuff, homework, allowances and that kind of stuff, and not being able to drive, and the parents getting you down, that kind of thing. Yeah, you're just mad at everything. And Motley Crue spoke to that, and so that's what rock music has always spoken to that. So there was a show that Motley Crue put. I think it was their third album, and they were at the height of their careers. I mean, they were playing big arenas, and also the VBC, which only didn't hold nearly the capacity that they could sell. Yeah. But it was kind of like a bump in their tour. They played tons and tons of cities, and Huntsville was a stop. And they had this opening band called Guns N' Roses.
Wow, what?
And this was their album. Who I got a tape, a cassette tape.
Cassette tape, kids.
Just about a month or two earlier.
Yeah.
And it was way different than what I was used to. And so you go to these, and you've experienced this before. Like, you got the headliner dominates the stage. There's all these drapes and stuff, and there may be like 2 or 3 lights on the opening act, and they're in the front of the stage. They've got to occupy just like a little bit of space because the main stage is for the headliner, right? Yeah. And Motley Crue had this humongous stage, all these big inflatable motorcycles, and it was crazy because they had run out of their steam. Their anger, or what they had tapped into early on in their career, was kind of losing its momentum, and so they had to resort to bigger things, like gimmicks almost. Yeah. Guns N' Roses comes out and plays about a 45-minute set and has, just plays song after song after song after song, and has maybe 30 seconds or less in between each song. Yeah. They just came out and just punching everybody in the face, man. Yeah. And by the time Motley Crue gets on stage, no one wanted to hear him. I was like, I'm exhausted, and that was the future of rock and roll. You know what I mean? It would be like Elvis opening up for Benny Goodman, or like, you've got... Shoot, I don't know, like Public Enemy opening for Al Jarreau. It was like, this is now what I love. Yeah. And whatever that was, we had a nice time, but now it's time for you to go off and do something else. And everybody, the whole room fell in love with Guns N' Roses. And that was here in Huntsville, Alabama. And that's something I'll never forget and we've all, as music fans, we've seen that when you hear somebody and you got your playlist and you're like, well, that's all terrible. Everything I'm listening to right now needs to go into a box, and I'm going to put that under the bed because this is the new thing. And that was probably one of my most vivid musical memories here in Huntsville. Yeah.
That is, oh my goodness. I want to hear, now top that. I want to hear one of you guys' stories, and I love hearing stories like that. So and especially here in the Rocket City. But for you guys, no matter where you live at, what part of the world, I want to hear one of your favorite memories of going to see local music or going to see music in your city.
I also mentioned that and Public Enemy never opened for Al Jarreau, but
I was
wouldn't
going
that
to
be
say, that's a great show.
wouldn't that be cool?
That is a great show. I don't know what Al Jarreau's going to perform after that, but that would be a great show.
He's just scatting.
But just to show the dynamic, you know, just to show the dynamic in what you were showing the energy level. Like,
yes.
Like, here to here.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, all right, that couldn't have been a better comparison. You don't have to apologize for that. So, again, now for you, recently, we've had the music audit, you know, a couple months back.
Yeah.
And just what I appreciate is what a lot of what it brought after it. You know, it was things we already knew, but sometimes seeing it on paper, you know, brings it, you know, to your consciousness a little more, where it's like, oh, you know, I didn't know that this was happening, or whatnot. Of recently, just what are your some of your thoughts right now on the current landscape for artists and performing artists in Huntsville? You know, the performing artists, where I don't know if it's always been as much performing, you know, from the local artists, where you see them having sort of these residencies at certain bars and certain places and things like that. And I know pay is always one of those things where it could be a lot better. Yeah. But just some of your thoughts on the landscape, you know, after that music audit, and or where that, how we even got on the radar to have something like that happen, and what that means.
Well, the music audit is a huge victory for Huntsville. I mean, just the idea that there's such a thing as a music audit in this city is a huge positive. It means that City Hall takes it seriously. Is that, and we've known this for a long time. You know, you travel outside of this city, arts and culture are the backbone of any city, and Huntsville's taken that seriously, and we've become we're trying to slide ourselves in the ranks of, I mean, you know, the ranks of cities that maintain talent. You know, people are born and raised here and then they leave, or people move into town and want to stay. They expect a certain level of I mean, I guess service. You know, you expect certain restaurants, you expect certain shopping, you expect certain things, you expect music festivals. Honestly, let's go out on a Friday night and go see a live band, and that's part of the total package. It's been a little anemic for a while, and so the city recognized that. Music audit, great. Say what you want about the outcome of that, but I think to me, where the gap currently is, we got a ton of talent. We got talent. I mean, we got a lot of talent. We got a lot of venues, and the venue list is growing. And I think we have people that support that talent. We have people that support that venues. I think one thing that we are missing right now is management, and I mean artist management, is the fact that the people who come in and out of this building who are A+ talent, no one knows that. That's our problem, me and you. We're trying to solve that one person at a time, one podcast at a time. But the fact that, let's take Victoria Jones, who's a good friend of both of us. She can make X dollars at this venue and Y dollars at another venue, because one venue knows her and is going to pay her because she's A+ talent. The other venue doesn't know her and is going to pay her like she's C- talent. She's going to do both gigs because what choice does she have? You know, she can't just pick and choose yet. Now, a lot of people are out there wanting to do that. So what I think is we need, I wouldn't say a union. I don't know that we need a booking agent necessarily, but I think we need somebody to establish.
I think we do, you know.
Well, we need management of some sort, so that Victoria walks into a restaurant that wants to hire her, and she says, here's my rate. Here's what I expect. I'm going to play for this number of hours. And if I'm outside and it rains, I'm going home and I'm still getting paid. These kinds of standards. And right now we're leaving the artists to manage themselves, and not saying they can't do that, but that's not their forte. You know, that's not their number one talent. So, maybe it is a management or some sort of unionized kind of situation, because right now the venues are in charge. And so the venue can say, hey, Victoria, we're going to give you $150 for these 3 hours. And she'll be like, okay. And then now some of our artists are playing free gigs. That's the biggest sin. If you're a musician out there listening to this, you pay a free gig, you're worth what you paid. So no more of that. We got to stop that right now.
Got to. Even if it's, again, it's 2019. If there hasn't, I don't know if there's been a time in time where there were more opportunities to be an entrepreneur or to monetize what you're doing.
Yeah.
And to find a way.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's been a time more than now that there is a way.
So true.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But the other side of the coin, or the other edge of that sword, is that everybody's doing it. Like, now it's like if the pool is open, and everybody's jumping in, well, you got a real crowded pool. And so what it comes down to is the most successful artist is the one that is both most talented and the best at business and self-promotion, which is kind of the way it's always been. But some of these folks are A+ talent and just need a little help with that.
Absolutely. So again, before we close it out, I want to go into a song because I want you guys to hear Victoria Jones, and we were talking about Victoria Jones, so I want to play that song before we get out of here and close the show. So we're going to hear from Victoria Jones, and this is one of her songs, Insignificant. Also, another connection with Kelvin Wooten. We played Deacon Sue, and I think Kelvin Wooten was on this one as well. So you guys make sure you follow Victoria Jones wherever you see her performing at. And again, we'll be back. This is In Tune with T-Mill. I'm here with my homie Bill from Uprising. I feel bad saying people's last names now, because in this world of technology and people are always finding people's personal pages and things like that.
Dude,
and like,
I got nothing to hide. Listen, look me up.
So this is Victoria Jones, Insignificant. We'll be back.
She spends her hours with her face in the mirror, wondering if her life will become ever clear. Remembering there was a time she was oh so sure. She just got news that shook her to the core. Her husband came home saying he wants a divorce. Decades gone out the door in the blink of an eye. There's so many stories up under the sun. It's crazy to think that we're the only ones feeling insignificant. So insignificant. She spends her days with her nose in a book, trying to score better than the last test she took, so she can get through school and maybe find a job. He spends his years trying to retrace his steps back to the 5-year-old son that he left when he was young and dumb and so immature. And they spend their weeks with their knees on the floor, crying out to God for their daughter's cure, praying in their lifetime she be truly healed. There's so many stories up under the sun. It's crazy to think that we're the only ones feeling insignificant. Ooh, insignificant. And then there's me, one in a million with a dream so much bigger than a white picket fence. To give all I have is a life well spent. So insignificant, still insignificant. But I'll reach out and sing out that our trials, they have meaning. Though deadlines and hard times make us feel like we're sinking. insignificance, insignificance. There's a God in heaven who looks down and he sees our fears, our faults, our failures, and our cry for relief. And there's significance, ooh, significance.
So good.
Man, good.
So good.
So
you know
good.
what's? I mean, there's so much to like talk about with that song.
Yeah.
But you know what's great is if she wanted to, she could oversing. You know, how many times do you
Yeah.
see? Because that melody is so sweet and so simple, and it's
Yeah.
the same chord progression over and over again. If she wanted to, she could wreck that song by trying to go all over the place. She stays right where she needs to be, man. It's beautiful. That's a beautiful song.
Absolutely. There is it's either a show or something. It's called Stay in Your Lane that's happening tonight. I think it's an actual show or something that it's like a music show or a workshop or something. And there's so many different people in Huntsville, different whether it's musicians, promoters, bookers, management, so on and so forth. What I think Huntsville is doing well is a lot of us are staying in our lanes and not getting in each other's way, or we're supporting one another, and there's not that feeling of competition or that oh, I got to take this person down for, and I'm sure on some level that it goes on. However, in my experience, what I've seen is just people helping each other out. Just, being supportive, showing up to each other's shows, or if there's a show on the south side of town, you see people that are from the north side of town in the south side, and then you see people from the south side or downtown that come to the north side of town, and like support each other and say, hey man, I'm driving 15 minutes 30 minutes out, come to this show. And that's phenomenal.
I think we all kind of do something very specific. And like, for example, like what you and I and Tom do. I mean, Tom is well established and has been doing this for a long time. And he was the first message I sent when I was thinking about doing this. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this specific to local music. Tell me if this overlaps with you, and tell me like, should we collaborate or not, or should I do this on my own or whatever? And that was the first conversation I had, because really all we're doing is having a good time. We're trying to do the same thing. We're fighting the same battle or whatever. And then when you and I met, it was like, well, man, now we got like a much fuller family than I thought we did. And now we're just all moving together at the same time. It's really nice to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, so you guys, I want you guys to go on wherever your favorite social media is and check out, it's Uprising HSV on Instagram, Uprising on Facebook, and Uprising on Podbean and Spotify. Make sure you guys follow the podcast. And again, for those that may not know, or maybe we missed it earlier because I'm not sure if I even asked it because we got into such
we start. That's how we are. We just start talking.
Uprising. If you had to describe that podcast for someone who doesn't listen to podcasts, how would you describe it?
Yeah, it took me a long time to get into podcasts because I thought it was inherently boring. I'm just going to listen to somebody talking for, And a lot of them are an hour long. I mean, not mine, but a lot of podcasts are an hour long. And I'm thinking, I have a life to live, And I'm certainly not going to be on a treadmill for an hour. So forget that. So it's a short format podcast. And I say short format, it's anywhere between like 20 and 40 minutes, depending on what the topic is. And if I get carried away, the person's super interesting, then I do that. But it's a one-on-one interview. I've done interviews with 2 or 3 people at once, but it's best with one-on-one. And let's take Victoria Jones, for example. It's like I interviewed her. She was my second interview ever because I wanted to know more of her story. I mean, she appears to be a very interesting person. Her music is very deep. She's a person of faith. And I met her dad, and so I knew there's a story there. So I wanted to hear more about her. That's the podcast. It's like you're gonna go and you're gonna see some amazing talent in this city, and I want to bring to you what their writing process is, where they're from, how they got here, you know, why they write about the things they do. I just interviewed Alex Hendricks. Alex Hendricks is a fantastic singer-songwriter.
Yes. Alex Hendricks is funny as hell.
She's like a stand-up comedian, okay? She's fantastic. Her Instagram, Alex Does Life. Alex Tries Life. It's hilarious. Her Instagram is hilarious. But then listen to her music, man, and it is some deep, she goes into some deep places. So the difference in that, like, how can you be so bright and shiny and then all your songs are so heartfelt and deep and emotional? And it's like, I want to know about that. I want to know why that is. So she's my most recent interview. It's a really good one. And it's out on Spotify right now. So that's what I do. I mean, anywhere between 20 and 40 minutes. Beyond that, I don't have time.
And, and if they don't, if they're not in the car to listen to a podcast and they want to watch it on their lunch break or at home, you also have the Facebook page that has the video element.
Video, look, this hair is too perfect to just stay on audio. You know what I mean? This took a long time to get ready. But you can go to Facebook.
Hair cam?
I do have a hair cam. Dude, that's a great idea. Just like
so you got the guest cam, the host cam, and then the hair cam.
A GoPro pointed this way, just so you can watch it move or not move, depending on what day it is. But you can go to YouTube and see the videos. You can go to Facebook and see videos. But it's a podcast, so you can go to your not iTunes anymore. It's Apple Music.
Apple Music, Apple
or you
Podcasts,
have a podcast app on your Apple phone now, right?
Yep.
So man, it's all over the place. You'll search and you'll find it.
Search and find it. That's all you got to do, you guys. Again, make sure you are following Uprising HSV on Instagram, Uprising on Facebook, and just search Uprising on your favorite podcast app, wherever you listen to podcasts. The reason why I think it's also good is we're in a city or just any city rather. I mean, most people have a 30-minute commute to their job, or to school or whatever it is. So in the car, when you're looking for something, you're tired of listening to the radio or you just want something different on the way there. Again, some people listen to podcasts to learn something. They listen to real estate podcasts, or they listen to money management or a lot of morning meditations and, these self-help, mental health type things, or they want to be entertained. And so they want to hear interviews with artists or interviews with sports or celebrities. I listen to a lot of sports podcasts to just get these in-depth interviews with some of the UFC fighters and sports figures and things like that. And then there's the podcast where you want to know what's going on either in a certain part of the world or locally where you are. So those of us that are here in Huntsville that want to know about the local music, we want to know about the entertainment that's going on, and we're complaining all the time that there's nothing going on. I don't know how you can even have that argument now, because there's something going on right now that we're missing out because we're here, with each other, and then there's 10 things going on. Somebody's going to ask us about later. Hey, did you guys go to the such and such show?
No, sorry.
We were here talking with each other, like listening to Victoria Jones and Deacon Sue. But for those of us that want to listen to or find out and discover what's happening locally where we are, there's the Uprising podcast. There's so many different podcasts that are here talking about the local music. And then there's those of us that I'm sure you're the same way, where I want to know about not only what's happening in my backyard, but what's happening in other music scenes or other, cultures and whatnot.
Right.
There's podcasts that I listen to that there's a podcast I listen to that comes out of DC. There's all this underground DC music that's going on. From DC, Maryland, Virginia, and none of it gets played on the radio.
Right.
And they're doing the same thing where they're just putting on their local music and so on and so forth. And I like hearing that. I like discovering new music that's not on the radio, that has yet to come up, to bubble to the surface, or whatever you want to call it.
Would you say it's Uprising?
It's no. It's weird Uprising. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They gotta call it something.
It was underground, but it's coming up.
We are Uprising.
Yeah.
And what's great about what that name is that maybe 5-10 years from now, man, I'm telling you, there's this. We're so out in front of it, I think, right now. That I hope that 5 to 10 years from now that it's just out of this world.
I hope so too.
Something that's just crazy, and we can sit back and go, hey, remember we had those little podcasts that we were talking about, this person, and now they're like, going on doing, these crazy shows, and they're doing, all all these crazy festivals.
Does he ever call you? No, he doesn't call me
yeah,
either.
He don't call me either. You know, tickets are $300 now
Right.
for this show. So again, I thank you for what you're doing. Everyone that's out there that's taking their time out to highlight and put a light on local music, local happenings in the Southeast, because these things are affecting more than just where we are in Huntsville. But again, like you said, we all have lives. We all have, you know, people that would take, not only are we taking time away from ourselves and our days, but we're taking time away from the people that depend on us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's important. So by what you're doing and taking that time out, trust that it is not overlooked, that it is appreciated. And again, somebody's got to do this. Like, that's why we do this. Like, somebody's got to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And instead of us waiting around, we're here doing it.
Well, thanks, man. It's a lot of fun. It's something that I thought that I like to do. I want to know about these people myself. It's not like I'm trying to make money at this. You know, it's just fun.
And you're just naturally curious about it. Where it's like, like as a kid, just curious. This is on a whole nother thing, and then we can close the show. But your curiosity, you know, where you were you one of those kids where it's like you would find things and you just wanted to know about it and just go after it? And
I read the encyclopedia when I was a kid. Like I that's just what I'm a reader, and I just read the encyclopedia A to Z, you know. I mean, I wasn't trying to like memorize anything. So I'm just curious about that stuff. Ripley's Believe It or Not and all that jazz. And I was also the kid that people came to like spill their beans. For some reason, I'm easy. People will just tell me stuff and be like, I can't believe he was saying that, you know. But I'm a good secret keeper, you know, and so people just like, I'm easy to talk to. And you know what's funny is, man, there's a lot of people in this world that don't want to listen to what you're saying. You know, so if you ask a question and look them in the eye and like don't interrupt, you'll get all kinds of great information.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, you guys make sure that you ask the questions and you follow the podcast Uprising to hear these stories and to hear these conversations.
Let me present one more thing. If you're out there and you've got somebody that you think needs more exposure, you know, my inbox is full of folks who are like diamonds in the rough. You know, they want exposure.
And
they want
artists,
people to know about it.
You know, artists
please,
themselves that
please tell me.
Want to think about being on the podcast, or they just want to get out there and again go through and have that conversation. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's I would love to have more information. If you know somebody who you think needs a little more attention, that's why I'm here. You know, to bring that up. Anyway, man, thank you for letting me be here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. The first of many. Again, you always have a mic. You always have a seat, you know, here, and this is what we do. Yeah. So, and I haven't said that in a long time. They used to be on my liner notes, like at the end for my outros, and I'm just realizing I haven't said that in the last 15 episodes. I feel like. But again, this is your mic. This is your seat to have these conversations. So whenever you've got new happenings or just updates, you know, or just whatever. Yeah. Here's the seat.
Man, I appreciate that. I'll take advantage of that for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in there. We got cameras everywhere, paparazzi lights and all this good stuff going on. We're going to leave you guys with another song. I want to close out the show. Let me see. I got a lot of music on here. You guys follow the In Tune with T-Mill playlist on Spotify, and also the In Tune with T-Mill playlist on Tidal.
I had no idea.
So yeah, man, you guys got to check it out. It's a lot of music, a lot of local music, and then music from just all over the world of local artists that I've met along the way. So you guys make sure you check that out. I want to go with. Let me see. I got a lot of good. I tell you what, because this one's coming out. We're gonna play. Where is it? Yeah. So August 31st is August 17th is the block party, and then August 31st, Young City is having a release party at the Barking Dog at the Low Mill.
My man,
he's still trying to figure out the name yet.
I love that guy.
Young City is dope.
I love that guy.
So you guys got to make sure that you pull up and check out the Barking Dog Theater. August 31st, check out Young City. I will be in Atlanta. I'm going to miss it. I almost
Look, I'll go for you. Listen, I'll go. I got to figure out what I'm going to wear. I mean, that's my biggest concern. I'll figure out what. No.
Comfortable, you know what I mean?
No, I'm not going to be comfortable. I got to go up there looking good. Yeah, I'm thinking about that right now. Go ahead.
Absolutely. But you guys, we're going to leave you with Young City. This is Timeless on In Tune with T-Mill.
So good.
Our guest, Bill Fowler, Uprising. Thank you, Maitland Conservatory. Thank you, Sun-Shyne Enterprises. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Yeah.
See the time is now, now set your clock like daylight savings. Better save them, I replace the mind racing. I'm the god like all praises. Stick to the script like 10 pages. Eyes lower than minimum wages. Born for this, I own the stages. Bars and bars, a million cages. Waited my turn, see I was patient. Set the bar, now gon' face it. One to the head, now nigga gon' and face it. Now we blazing, gas amazing. Hot as Cajun, you can taste it. City and poppy, good gracious. Switch the rhyme, now who'da thought it? In my bag, my music bought it. Rhymeaholic, I'm a fiend. I clear the scene, I'm trying to ball like Mr. Clean. I'm fresh to death like Listerine. Can't do it myself, I need my team. Cause I'm the one like Billie Jean. It's timeless, the finest. You grindless, you spineless, you mindless, you rhymeless. And I'm just being honest. Poppy told me bring the heat to you like you dynast. This shit sick, boys fucking with my sinus. Rello might pop cause it's full of that pressure. Take the boy to school, but you flunking the semester. Problem in my way, I just treat it like it's limbo. Sit it right to beat, handle bars on the tempo. Yeah, we taking over, I just hope you got the memo. Take a nigga back, young Dro with the polo. These niggas 12, I ain't fucking with the po-po. Me and Poppy do this shit to death like it's so-so. He the hood guy, motherfucker better get back, wait. Sit it bring the bars like a Kit Kat, wait. Might as well go and give 'em tracks. Bama be the state, so I stay facts. Had to part ways and I went back to India, I'm out of control. Ooh, back on my shit and I'm better than ever. Put that on my soul, yeah. Better pay attention, all eyes, boy, you better not blink, nigga. Niggas wanna talk, but I ain't got time like my watch extinct, nigga. This shit timeless, but I ain't really got time. See, time is precious, better not waste it, boy. You better get on your grind. This shit is timeless, timeless. This shit is timeless, timeless. This shit is timeless, timeless. No, I ain't really got time. See, time is precious, better not waste it, boy. You better get on your grind. This shit is timeless, timeless. This shit is timeless, timeless, timeless. This shit is timeless.
Poppy in the building, about to run up $1 million. I was out last night with some Decktown children, so they think we drug dealing. Oh me, oh my man, this shit timeless, but I ain't got time. You wanna bet you want some diamonds, you wanna be shining. Good thing you ain't mine, good thing you not mine. Betty eating berries on the backseat, like John Calipari with the stat sheet. Decktown, we gon' ball like an athlete. Ducktown, if you riding through the back streets, let me take you down the street to the bootlegger house. Old head on the couch with the blue sticking out. Young boy got a knot and the juice in his top. How you make it out? Had to choose another route. Yes, too blessed to be stressed. Remember when I seen popcorn compress? Taking off a dress, guess she wanna make a man. I'm no Superman, it's no S on my chip, man. This shit timeless, but I ain't got time. You wanna bet you want some diamonds, you wanna be shining. Good thing you ain't mine, good thing you not
timeless, but I ain't really got time. See, time is precious, better not waste it, boy. You better get on your grind. This shit is timeless, timeless. This shit is timeless, timeless. This shit is timeless, timeless. No, I ain't really got time. See, time is precious, better not waste it, boy. You better get on your grind. This shit is timeless, timeless. This shit is timeless, timeless, timeless. This shit is timeless.